What's up, middle school? Michael here. And today we're going to start having a conversation about emotions. Now, I know some of you hear that and you think that doesn't really sound fun at all. In fact, that sounds kind of gross and I'm not really looking forward to that. I don't want to talk about my feelings, least of all on Sunday morning. Like, I'm still tired. I get it. I don't like talking about feelings either. I like to keep things to myself and I like to just not worry about stuff. Just be chill. Just go with the flow. And one more time. Yep. You're still good? Okay. What's up, middle school? Michael here. And today we're going to start having a conversation about emotions. Now, I know some of you hear that and you think, ew, gross. I don't want to talk about emotions, least of all on Sunday morning. I'm still tired. I don't want to talk about feelings. Look, I get it. I don't really enjoy conversations like that either. I fancy myself a kind of like unemotional person, and I don't really enjoy the topic in general. But something that I've learned as I've gotten older is no matter how much you think you might be good at kind of just not worrying about things, ignoring how you might feel, not having very intense feelings, doing the right thing regardless of what's going on. I've learned that everyone is always having feelings, all kinds of them, and they absolutely affect the way that you think and the things that you do. We all have all kinds of different feelings every day. We just may not know how to identify and process all of the different types of things that we feel. Look how many things you probably feel every day. Very often, you all get angry at your siblings for doing something annoying, right? You get disappointed that you can't do something more fun than simply sit at home in your house all evening again, like you've been doing probably most of this year. You get frustrated that you still have chores to do when you just did chores yesterday. How is there still more to do? You get excited and impatient for the next fun event that you get to go to. You get nervous about school assignments that you have to do. You feel guilty when you've said something mean to a friend. You get hysterical because of the funny show that you're watching or jokes that your friends make or funny videos that you see online. You're constantly feeling all kinds of things. But for lots of reasons, it may not always be fun to talk about it. Maybe you're a pretty unemotional person and you think, look, there are a lot of people that are super emotional and they got all kinds of problems. I'm not like that. I don't have such intense emotions all the time. I'm mostly just kind of fine and I do my thing and it's no problem. And that's what you think when it comes to emotions. Maybe you just don't like talking about it. Some of the things that you feel, well, they're not really fun to concentrate on. They're not really fun to talk about. And so instead of dwelling on it, you'd like to just try as hard as you can to ignore the negative and just try to focus on the positive. And sometimes that doesn't always work. Maybe you know that you've got lots of things going on inside all the time, and it's just kind of overwhelming. You can't imagine that anything is going to actually make it better because some emotions feel like they're just going to last forever. That's a lot to try and think about. And honestly, it's not really fun to deal with your feelings, whatever that means. So what do? Should feelings just be ignored? Should we just not worry about how we're feeling and just try to focus on what we do? Just try to make all the right choices and everything's going to be fine? Or should you try really hard to force your feelings to change? If you're feeling something bad, are you just supposed to try real hard to feel something different? Should you just wait for things to get better? Should you wait for negative things to just pass and good things to somehow just start coming to you? And does it even matter what we think or what we do with our feelings? And so the first thing that I want to show you today is what Jesus had to say about all of this. What he said about our hearts, what we feel on the inside. And to do that, we're going to look at a conversation he was having with some religious people that were really good at following rules, but whose hearts weren't really in the right place. You know what I mean? So let's look at what he said. In Mark chapter 7, he said, what comes out of a person is what defiles him. For from within, out of the heart of man, come evil thoughts, sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, coveting, wickedness, deceit, sensuality, envy, slander, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within, and they defile a person. Jesus said that the mistakes that we make, all of the different things that people do that are wrong, they come from what's inside of us, our heart, our emotions. And so we have to pay attention to how we feel, because in large part, it determines the way that we act. It determines ultimately the choices that we make. Even if you don't consider yourself a very emotional person, it's important to remember that your feelings can absolutely still have power over what you do and how you treat the people around you. See, the problem isn't that we have feelings. There's nothing wrong with feeling what you feel, whatever that may be, or being in a mood. The problem starts when we let our feelings begin to be the boss of us, when we let our mood tell us what to do. And this is what Jesus was getting at. The people he was talking to, they did lots of things right because they made sure they knew everything that was expected of them, and they made lots of choices to make sure they met all of those expectations. But at the same time, they treated people pretty badly. They didn't have compassion for people. They weren't humble people. Their feelings were mostly about feeling better than other people and feeling judgmental at people who didn't obey the rules as accurately as they did. And over time, a culture that didn't worry so much about what was going on in their hearts saw themselves get further and further away from who God wanted them to be. And that's what can happen to us. We don't think about managing our emotions every day, do we? We think about what we're doing. Like, it's a normal day. I just want to go do the thing I want to go do, and that's most of what we concentrate on. But that doesn't stop the feelings from happening. And they have some serious power to cause all kinds of issues. But the problem is that we can't just decide to have different feelings, even if we know that there are things that we're feeling that come out in the way that we treat people. Even if we want to change that, it's really difficult. Like, I have the feelings that I have, and I can't just decide to start feeling nothing but love and positivity for everyone all the time. None of us are like that. And if that's going to determine what we do, then, well, we can't really control our actions either, can we? The great thing is, Jesus knew that this would be hard. He knows us, and that's why I think Jesus also said this. Matthew 11:28 says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." Jesus simply says that no matter what you're feeling and no matter what you have going on, he can give you rest. When we're tempted to let our mood ruin someone else's mood, Jesus tells us to come to him. When we feel like our emotions are out of control or difficult to understand or just really unpleasant to be feeling, Jesus says to come to him. It's not that God says he'll make sure that you never have any bad feelings again. After all, we live in a real world with real problems, and you should feel something about that. But when you're feeling bitterness towards people, or jealousy, or anger, fear, guilt, he can help change your heart and mind to be more like his. And when you're feeling pain that's totally justified because the consequences of sin are in the world and they cause real problems, he wants to give you rest. So that even while you feel real sadness or frustration or pain, at the same time, you still have peace and joy and you feel the love of God. So often it feels like our feelings are the boss of us. But what I want you to know today is that because of Jesus, emotions don't have to be the boss of you. Learning to deal with emotions is hard. It's not as simple as learning the answer to a question and just feeling all better because we've solved the puzzle, right? But there is something you can do to practice acknowledging your feelings and feeling peace about them. First is to just think of one or two emotions that tend to control what you do. Think about the last time you got really upset. Maybe the last time you did something you wish you hadn't. What were you feeling at that time? Try to be specific. Like, what were two emotions that were happening in you when you made that decision? Then talk about them. Talk about your feelings. When you know what you're feeling is taking your mind to a place that you don't want it to be, talk about it with someone that you trust, your parents or your friends, and pray about it. Talk to God about what you're feeling and be open and honest with him. He wants to hear the truth of what you feel from you, and he wants to help you where you are. Finally, be kind to yourself. Sometimes we can tend to feel really guilty about specific things that we feel. Like we feel like we're supposed to feel nothing but positivity and love for everyone all the time. And sometimes we just don't feel that. And so I want you to remember that you have feelings because you're human. And what you feel isn't wrong. We only want to learn to manage what we feel in the way that God would have us manage it. Emotions don't have to be the boss of you. So, as you leave today, I just want you to think about this. When have you let your emotions control you? Thanks so much for joining us today. I hope this was helpful to you, and I hope you'll join us again next week. Thanks.